Okay, welcome to another video from Lockdown Electronics with me, Bill, and this time it's part 3 of the Cossor 524 Melody Maker restoration, and I think that this will be the penultimate part. When I started part 1, I really didn't know where the journey was going to be taking me, but I'm very pleased to say that we're getting quite close to a finish now. So this time we'll be looking at just smartening up the case and making some final adjustments to the tuning, and then hopefully part 4 will be I'll be putting it all together and make sure everything's working. So let's get on with it. Okay, well, here we are with the case of the Cossor 524 Melody Maker, and I've given it a wash, and as you can see it's actually in nice condition. A little bit of scratching on the top, really not very much, so I'm going to take a leaf out of David Tipton's book and try a little bit of what we in the UK call T-cut scratch remover. It's sort of a cutting polish, I guess. So I'm just going to try a little bit of this on it, see how we get on, and hopefully it's going to just bring it up so it just looks that little bit shinier. Apologies for the echoey sound in my conservatory. Not quite so much sound deadening in here. It's not much of a sound studio, but so we're just working that away in a circular pattern. You can probably see I don't do car body repairs from my technique. But hopefully it's going to make the Bakelite look like it was a few 50 odd years ago when it came out of the factory. So I'm just going to polish that a little bit here. I think that's doing the trick. It's going to take a bit more work, but nonetheless, yeah, that's looking good. Okay, well, I finished with the T-cut now, and that appears to have got me to a sort of a uniformer surface. So I'm now trying a bit of brasso again, thanks to David Tipton for the idea of using metal polish, and seems to be doing the trick. I wouldn't like you to compare the quality of my work to his, because he's a real expert, but I'm certainly getting the result that I'm pleased with so far anyway. So hopefully the Bakelite's going to look almost like new, maybe not quite, but certainly a bit better than when it arrived. And I'm fortunate that no repairs are required, and also fortunate that all the screw mounting points inside are still undamaged. So I'm going to treat those very carefully when I reassemble the radio, so that I don't cause myself more of a problem. But yeah, a bit more progress. So I've had to go with brasso, and now we've got my wife's finest wax furniture polish. So I've got a coat of wax furniture polish. I'm just going to let that dry and then buff it up and see how it looks, and that'll probably be good enough for me. Apologies, David Tipton, I don't think it's up to your standards, but it's my first complete restoration, so I'm going to claim it's all about learning. And there we are, buffed up, looking a bit better than it was before. Definitely not David Tipton standards, but nonetheless much better. So get the chassis finished off now, and then see how it looks when it's back together. Okay, well, here I am ready to just check the settings of the dial on the Cossor 524. All components that I want to replace are now replaced. Ones I've left check out okay, and I was going to try and realign the IF, but I've really struggled to get the wax out of the coil formers, and so I've chickened out rather than do damage. But I have to say, tuning around the shortwave band, the selectivities actually seems okay, so I'm going to leave it where it is for now and just make sure that the dials calibrate okay. So I've got the tuner set just lined up exactly with the 10 megahertz mark, which is roughly right in the middle of the shortwave. Here we've got shortwave oscillator, shortwave antenna trim, so I'm just going to tweak those, get the most signal I can. So the setup I've got here, I've got the Taylor 65B signal generator producing a 10 megahertz signal, and I've got the ability to modulate that at 400 hertz by just flicking that switch there. So you can probably hear the tone. Just turn that off for a minute, give your ears a rest. And then I've got my FET voltmeter attached to the grid of the input of the final triode. The FET meter, which is again something else I bought, and I've modified a little bit and just tweaked it up and got it working well. It's a Heathkit model. It's got a 1 megohm impedance on AC volts, and obviously valves being high impedance circuit, I need a reasonably high impedance meter to be able to click in to places like that. So it's quite nice to be able to be using the Taylor 65B, which is a 1940s signal generator, which I bought non-working, and I restored. It was the first thing I actually managed to get working. So if you want to look up the video on that, I'll put a link down below so you can see that, but she's working a treat. And got the Heathkit here. The Heathkit comes in its own slightly odd plastic box, so I've made this little plywood case to cover up the innards so I can use it just as a bench meter. As I'm sure you can see, my woodwork isn't the greatest, but it does the job. So what we're going to do now is just see how we get on. So apologies for the tone, but I've got my 6BA spanner here, and I'm going to just first of all start with the oscillator. So we're going to put the tone on. So that's 10 megahertz, and the first thing is we're going to pick the oscillator up. So I don't know how well you can see the needle, hopefully you can. Assuming I can actually get the spanner to go on. There we go. Much better if I actually use the right end of the spanner. Oh yeah, quite an improvement there. Just take the tool away because it has some effect on the capacitance of the tool. Yeah, that's pretty good. And now we'll just tweak the antenna trim. I think that was already quite good. Yeah, so that's the antenna trim. So now we'll just change frequency, and we'll see how we get on with the medium wave, which is these two here. Okay, well here we've got Taylor 65B now outputting about 750 kilohertz, not modulated at the moment, to give your ears a rest. Same setup as ours for shortwave, with the voltage reading being taken from the grid input to the final AF output valve, and it's a similar process to before. This is the medium and long wave oscillator and the medium and long wave antenna trim, those two there. So I'm just going to just try and tweak those for strongest signal. So we'll just put the tone on and see how we go. Clearly not that way. I think what I might do is just up the output of the signal generator a little bit, just to help with the setup. So I should be approaching it here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get much more than that by the look of it. That's good. And now we'll do the antenna trim. That's about there. You can't really see much movement on the meter, but I can tell a little change in the speaker tone. So hopefully that's those two peaked up. So we'll get it back up, hooked up to an antenna. Might even pop it in the case actually, and just see how she looks, see how she sounds on AM. Okay, well here we are with the Cossor 524 attached to my external antenna. It's actually a doublet, which is a form of dipole. It's resonant on about 6 megs from a transmitting point of view, but it makes a good receiving antenna. So I've got that attached to the aerial input. It's just after midday GMT here in the UK, so I'm looking around on the higher HF bands around the 14, 13, 12 megahertz. So I'll just turn the volume up and just tune across. So I'm just approaching about 14 megahertz here. Just going up towards the 25 metre band now. Very quiet today.
So when it comes to the older generation, these are people who have of course been through not just the Civil War, the impact of the war in Syria. The amount of so many people in this particular community
I suspect that's the BBC World Service on just above 12 megs. Gone are the days when you could find lots of English speaking stations around the bands, whether it be Radio Tirana or a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries had powerful English language services. Seem to be able to find plenty of Chinese these days, but not quite so much English.
Doamnelor, domnișoarelor, domnilor, a fost așa. De ziua limbii române ne întâlnim sărbătorită în România, astăzi 31 august.
So, strong signal. Plenty of languages that I don't really recognise. Coming up towards 10 megahertz now on the 31 metre band from a broadcast point of view. Excuse me. Better not stop on the music too long, unless I get busted. So yeah, that seems to be working okay. From a practical point of view, I've very carefully cleaned the dial glass, which was quite dirty. I was particularly careful cleaning the back where the actual printing is, because I think it's quite delicate now, so I've not actually used anything on there except a very soft brush just to clean it up. I've replaced the card behind with this white card to reflect the dial light, and just tidied up the transformer, and where I've had rust on the chassis, I've cleaned the rust and given it a coat of silver paint. and just generally made sure things are clean from a valve socket point of view, and she seems to be doing okay, so very pleased with that. Okay, well that's it for part 3 of the Cossor 524 Melody Maker restoration. Hopefully the next part's going to be the last part. We're very close now, so hopefully we're going to get a good result. If you've liked the video, it'd be great if you could click the thumbs up. If not, click the thumbs down. It'd be great too if you could subscribe. I'm also going to put some links for the video for the restoration of the Taylor 65B signal generator, which you've seen in use in this episode. So maybe check that out too, have a look, and hopefully you'll find something useful there. Thanks very much for watching.